Brosnan. I am with the New York Beef Council, and I'm really excited to partner with Sarah Peavy and Katie Carpenter from the New York Ag in the Classroom program to offer this Top Cuts contest. And we've been doing this contest for a few years and have had some amazing entries as different classrooms have worked to explore beef options and beef products, as well as the marketing that goes into getting those products on our shelves or in restaurants. So this year we have put a new spin on the contest, and we are going to focus specifically on developing a product for a food truck. So today we wanted to give the opportunity for you all to get some answers directly from the experts when it comes to beef marketing and food trucks in particular. So today we are joined by Allie Philippi, who is the owner and operator of OBriens Farm Fresh Kitchen, as well as Chelsea Frail, who is the marketing director of Palmer's Food Service located in Rochester. So we are looking forward to hearing from both of these ladies. We really appreciate them taking the time out of their busy schedule to answer some questions and talk about what their position in the industry is. So I will kick things off with Allie. If you wouldn't mind giving a quick overview of your background and how you got into the position that you're in.
Okay, so hi everybody, I'm Allie. I am the co-owner of OBriens Farm Fresh Kitchen food truck, and then I'm a partner owner in my family's restaurant, Eden Pub. So we are just south of Buffalo, which is really seeing a just huge resurgence in food trucks and mobile food units. So my background is actually, I'm a dairy nutritionist by trade. I graduated from Cornell in 2006 with a degree in animal science. It literally took me all over the world. I took my first job over in China. I was teaching dairy farmers how to more efficiently feed their cows. And I've been doing that for the past 7 years. My family opened a restaurant in 2006, and so that was our first restaurant. We eventually opened a second one, and the second restaurant was O'Brien's Farm Fresh Meats and Smokehouse. And when I came home from China, I jumped on board there, and I was actually a apprentice whole animal butcher. And I learned how to do all my own sausage and beef jerky, snack sticks, anything with a smoker. But I really missed the feed business. So after a couple of years with that, I went back to work in the feed business. And you'll laugh because just last February 2018, my mom and I realized how much we miss the hospitality industry. And she's like, let's go look at a food truck. Because we thought, we'll just do it on nights and weekends. We'll pick the events we want to do. And we really miss our customers, and our customers miss us. So without really knowing anything about running a food truck, we went and bought a food truck. And this is, we're just wrapping up our second season. I put the truck away yesterday because it's so cold up here. And so yeah, and then we got our restaurant back. So we're back at it. We've got a restaurant, we've got the food truck, and we're busy.
Love it. Chelsea, if you don't mind giving a quick overview of what your position is and entails at Palmer's Food Service.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Chelsea here. So it's snowing and it's beautiful outside, and I have a hanging beef side behind me, so it's a good day. I do marketing for retail and wholesale. So my customers are going to be your mom, your dad, your brother and sister who come into a retail store and market, and then also a restaurateur. So for instance, a food truck, your high-end restaurants, diners, mom and pop places, local independents. So I have two different worlds I live in. So I have my retail side and I have my wholesale side. So I've been at Palmer's for 13 years. I came here right out of college. So it was very nice to be able to grow my career within one organization. I started out as an assistant and worked my way up a couple years ago, 3 years now. I raised my hand and I was like, can I please be the marketing director? And so I pitched myself to the senior management team. I went for it. They could say yes or no, and they said yes. So my passion right now is food. And a large part of my marketing responsibilities is making sure restaurant owners and the retail constituent understands food and beef in particular. Kip Palmer is our owner. We've been around for 170 years, and he is a fifth generation owner. Imagine one family owning a company for 170 years. So he's partnered with Certified Angus Beef is a brand that we partner with. And my responsibility is to make sure our retail customers know what beef is, in particular Certified Angus Beef, and restaurateurs, chefs in particular, understand the quality of the product. So imagine going to college for 4 years, thinking, okay, I'm going to get into marketing. I went for marketing. I thought it was going to be in TV and radio. This is not TV and radio. It's very, very different. But I absolutely love food in the hospitality field. And being here for 13 years has, again, let me explore. I've traveled and I've educated myself, which is very important. You never stop learning. And everyone here can agree. You never stop learning. You learn different things about yourself in the industry. So that's a little bit about myself.
Awesome. Thank you. We can't thank you ladies enough for joining us today and getting some of the questions answered for the students as they work through their submissions for this Top Cuts contest. So we did receive some questions ahead of time from the classrooms as they're thinking about their product and starting to develop their marketing plan. So Allie, I want to start things off with you. One of the questions we received was, how do you decide what recipes to come up with? And is there any particular area that you get inspiration from?
Okay, so that's a really good question. The biggest thing that helps us decide what we should serve on the truck is actually the equipment and the space we have in the truck. And one of the other things, I mean, you heard about my history. I'm not a trained chef. So, and it's mom and I on the truck, and she's not a trained chef either, but we love to cook. So we try to choose things that we are good at cooking, we can cook a lot of, and we can serve easily out of the truck. So all of our food is made to order, like the meal itself is made to order, but what we do is we do a lot of prep before time. So everything is pretty much already cooked and ready to go. It just needs to be assembled. So this really helps not only reduce the confusion in the truck, because when you've got a line and you're trying to make stuff as fast as you can, we're making to order, but we're not really cooking to order. So we're able to get food out fast. And a lot of our customers love that they don't have to wait in line to get their food. I mean, you have to wait in line to place your order, but by the time you're done paying, I'm usually handing the food out the window. So it definitely helps. Like, I don't have a fryer in my truck. We can't do French fries as a side, egg rolls, things like that. So we're limited by the equipment on the truck. So I don't have a fryer, I don't have an oven. So everything is pretty much done and prepped in our kitchen in the restaurant, loaded onto the truck hot. And then I predominantly serve out of a steam table that keeps food hot, and you're assembling and getting it out the window. So that's, quick and easy, time constraints. And then another thing that helps us decide what to serve is, can you serve it multiple ways? Like, say you do pulled pork, you can do a pulled pork sandwich, you can do a pulled pork burrito. If you make a side of mac and cheese, you can turn that into an entree and do a pulled pork mac and cheese. So we try to choose things that can be used multiple ways. So, you're not just having one entree, you're making it work for you twice. And then, like, same with the mac and cheese, like, you could use it as a base for an entree, or you could serve it as a side. So that's kind of how we do it. We try to do easy. We try to do things that will please everybody, from, you know, a child all the way up to a senior. You know, sometimes people go to food trucks and they have some crazy things, which is great because most of these guys are really talented chefs and they can get away with doing some really interesting things. We like to keep it simple and traditional. One of our best sellers is a beef on weck. We do that ourselves. We, you know, we roast the beef, we hand slice it, it's dipped in a hot au jus and put on a fresh baked roll. And that's one of our best sellers. It's simple, it's delicious, and it's a crowd pleaser.
Allie, one of the other questions that we received from Middleburg Central School was, have you ever made something and put it on the menu that you didn't particularly like, but that your class or that your customers really enjoyed?
It's funny, you know, the name of the truck is OBriens Farm Fresh Kitchen, and we really like to source as much local as we can. And in the summer, I mean, we live in Eden Valley. We've got all of these beautiful vegetable growers just right at our fingertips. So when Mom and I first started, we wanted to be a little different than all the other food trucks. We don't have a fryer because we don't want to do fried foods. We want to do more healthier food. And I've made, you know, mason jar layered salads, and they're beautiful. It's all local produce, and I won't sell one because people are so used to going to a food truck and having something smothered in cheese and, you know, just not really healthy. So I guess it's one thing, like, you have to listen to your customers. You can be putting out the most beautiful, healthy food, but if you're going to events where people don't want healthy food, you know, you're gonna have a lot of waste. So, you know, we do a lot of the loaded mac and cheese with cheese and barbecue sauce and you know, just something that to me is like pretty heavy. Yeah, you got to listen to your customers. And it's funny, I know as New York Beef Council, you probably don't want to hear it, but one of my best sellers on the truck too is a hummus wrap. And I never would have thought in a million years, but it's, you know, you got to try to have something for everybody. And it might not be what you want to put on the truck, but it's what your customers want. So.
Gotcha. Appreciate it. It's always funny to see what the customers are looking for. And like you mentioned, it could be different events that you go to. There could be folks looking for different things. So you have to keep that in mind depending on what the vision of your food truck is and the marketing opportunities that you have. So switching over to marketing a little bit, Chelsea, can you tell us a little bit more about what forms of marketing you use in your position? Is it all social media, or are there some other ways that you engage and either market yourself or help the restaurants and retailers that you work with market themselves?
Well, there's a few key components. So everyone's stuck on, you know, website, Facebook, Instagram. And those are great ways to advertise your business, tell your story, get visual pieces out there to the world. But one of the biggest things you have to do before is giving your sales reps and the people who work in your store as much as, you'd be very surprised. The world. Store quality, how do they cook it, what are different recipes they can use with the product. They can call in, they can come in the store. If our associates can't answer that, if a sales rep can't, you know, for instance, go to a food truck and say, what can I do that was prepared ahead of time? I can't cook it, I don't have a fryer, you know, what do I do? What are some amazing wraps I could do with hummus with my beef? And we have to educate those people that work for us within Palmer's so that they're quick at responding and they know as much information as possible. So I spent a lot of time making videos. I fly people all around. We have a plane, so we're able to bring customers, so chefs, people who own restaurants, We have contests for the retail customers, and we bring them to a ranch. Okay, this is what a ranch is. This is what it means. This is what happens. We also can bring them to big food festivals and teach them, here are all these wonderful different foods. So education's a really big piece. And along with education, I would say taking your own video and pictures. I know that sounds kind of funny. There's a ton of people out there. There's a ton of photographers, all of these online places that want to push, you know, their products on you and their photos, and, oh, I have this wonderful service, I can make this video for you. And I find the biggest thing and the biggest challenge for me is people didn't really respond to photos that weren't actually our associates in our food. So this past year, I have moved away from stock photos and, you would say, professional, very clean photos that aren't really real. And my goal was to put food out. So if you walk into our store, the photo you see online is going to be what you're eating in front of you. It's not styled. There's no glue. There's no fancy lights. So that's a really big piece. So when you're thinking marketing, you're thinking beef, you have to think education. So educating the people that have to be your frontline people that are out there talking about the product in your business. And you have to make sure visually you're representing your company and your product appropriately. Those are two big things. Everything from the website, all of that's an aftermath. Once you do all of these different things, then you're putting it on your website. You're putting it on Instagram. One of the biggest people I lean on will be our corporate chef. I can't cook. I love to eat. I can't cook to save my life. It's actually really sad. I have a 12-year-old son, and he thinks Panera is wonderful. So I'm trying to learn, though. But Chef Tom is who I lean on weekly. So we get together, and we'll get a recipe card that lives in our store. And, okay, here's the recipe card of the week. It's online. You can find it on Instagram, on Pinterest. And we recreate it, and we make a video of it. So Chef Tom helps me make sure the integrity of the recipe, of the video, and what you're supposed to be doing is correct. And so you have to, in marketing, you have to lean on different people. You are not the expert all the time when it comes to food marketing. You are reaching out to other people in the industry to learn as much as you can, and they're going to help you look good because these videos are amazing. And you would think, oh my gosh, Chelsea, you know what you're doing. Absolutely not. I don't know what I'm doing, but Chef Tom makes our videos look amazing. So marketing is a lot of you see a lot of stuff out there, but there's a lot of work that goes into it when it comes to just the integrity of the product. And it's all about taste. I don't want to leave that out. You have to get people to taste the product. I don't care if it's a wrap, if it's a salad, you have to take the opportunity to put food in people's mouth. You could have the prettiest poster. You could do this wonderful display. You could have the coolest video ever with things and captions and graphics. But if people aren't tasting your product and sampling and getting them engaged and putting it in their mouth, they're probably not going to buy it because they won't know why it's so different. So when you're marketing beef, we have the opportunity to go to car dealerships. I know it sounds kind of funny, but they're really popular on the weekends. We bring a big grill, and part of marketing is going out there and putting food in people's mouth to say, try this product, it's amazing. Look what you can do at home, or Mr. Restaurant person, look what you could make for your customers to come in and really enjoy your food and, you know, be the talk of the town. So the third key element with my marketing is feeding people. I gotta feed people. They need to understand how good the product is. So all of those pieces, the education piece, using my online platforms, and feeding people, that's how I market. That's how I market beef. It's actually really simple, but a lot of fun.
That's awesome, and it kind of ties right into our Top Cuts contest. As part of the contest, classrooms should remember that there is a Beef for the Classroom grant. So each classroom can actually purchase beef and get reimbursed after the fact from the Beef Council to try to cook off their recipe, to actually get folks to taste it and get some feedback from customers or potential customers to see what that beef tastes like and if that recipe works out. So thank you so much, Chelsea. I think that's some great insight to keep in mind as folks are developing their marketing aspect. And different posts, could be website, could be Facebook posts, but those are some great inspiration for some other outreach that they can create as part of their project. Is there anything in particular, you mentioned those are the different aspects you use, but is there a particular challenge that you run into, or something that you think really stands out about beef that makes it different to market than some other products?
Well, look at behind me. Okay, so if you look at this, this is just a cutout. It's just a photo. I had it laser cut out. It is so ugly. I'm going to be quite honest. Beef is one of the hardest things for me to actually market. I want pretty things. I want things that people go, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. I want this. This behind me, unless you're a beef head and you really like beef and you understand that I use this for education purposes and making sure people know the different parts and different cuts, this is disturbingly ugly. And I could never put this online unless I'm marketing it appropriately. So one of the biggest challenges is making sure I do a photo that won't disgust people, offend people, make people go, oh my gosh, why would you put that out there? So that's a really big challenge. One of the key things I find is I use a really nice cutting board if I have to use raw. So I use a really nice cutting board and I sprinkle some flowers, something green. I use, the really big pieces of pepper. I'm putting other things in the photo to offset how kind of gross it really does look before it's cooked. So hands down, that is the most challenging thing. And one thing to go along with that is I might think something looks good. If I showed this to our production manager for beef, he's offended because he says, this is not what it looks like. Work with the other people that you're trying to marketing with, because you don't want it, again, to not look like the product the customer is going to get. So that is the biggest challenge I have. How do I make something look pretty that naturally is not appealing?
Awesome. I think you definitely have a little bit of a different challenge to build off of since you are working so much with the raw product. So Allie, you have kind of the other end of things where everything that you're promoting and trying to market is going to be that cooked and prepared dish. How do you market the products on your food truck?
So same platforms, and it all depends on your audience. I have better luck. I get more engagement on Facebook than I do on Instagram, but I'm always trying to cross post and tag things. I've gotten better at taking my own pictures. It does help sometimes if you have a little money and a budget to do a professional photo here and there, at least, just for quality on your website, I think. But the majority of my posts come from my iPhone, and like I said, I've gotten better. You want to make sure that you've got, I try to take as many pictures as I can in front of the truck with my logo on it, so people know, like, oh, that's what your truck looks like. That's where I can get that food. When I was out in Perry showing some of the kids what I do, it's always good to have your brand and your logo on, like, your to-go containers. If you do package something up to go, have a sticker on it, so when people are walking around, they're doing free advertising for you. Other food trucks I've seen out there have their own branded containers and napkins and things like that, and that's awesome. I hope to get there one day, but it's pretty expensive to have custom printed things. So you kind of do what you can with your budget, but it's like you try, if you've got a dirty counter, you don't want to post a picture of your beautiful burrito with, like, cheese on the counter in the background. Like you said, you want to use a pretty cutting board. You want to make sure that you've got, like, one of my signatures is I try to have a vase of fresh flowers on my serving counter. So you just get a a feeling of farm fresh. And, you know, I try to make sure my flowers are in the background, or I've got a business card somewhere so people can call me, you know. It is hard trying to make sure you've got the right picture and you're putting it out to the correct audience, but it just takes a lot of practice.
No, I think that's great. And there definitely is so much that goes into marketing. Is there something in particular that you can speak to that's different about marketing or owning a food truck business as opposed to, say, the restaurant your parents operate or your family operates? Is there something in particular that's an extra challenge or something that you really focus on with the food truck?
So the hardest part with the food truck is, like I said, we food truck mainly on nights and weekends. I don't really do a lunch crowd. I do dinners and big events. So the hardest part when you're mobile is consistency. People like knowing where you're going to be and kind of planning their day around it. If they know you're going to be set up somewhere on Tuesday night, they like hearing about it in advance, which is hard to do when you're managing a lot of things. I have kind of thought of, you know, maybe getting an assistant or, you know, working with one of those companies that does, you know, the marketing for you. But it's so much better when you do it yourself, and it's you know, the quality and the message you're trying to get out is better when it's coming directly from you. So consistency is hard. People finding you, like I mainly use my website just to post my calendar of where I'm going to be, because if people don't know where you are, how are they going to find your food truck? Whereas when you have a brick and mortar, you know, and they know you're open 7 days a week, you can stop at any time. Kitchen's open from 11 o'clock in the morning on. You know, I get calls all the time from people, oh, are you going to be here for lunch? No, lunch isn't what I do. And I got to do a better job of that. You know, people sometimes like, they like consistency. So if you can try to be somewhere every Saturday or every Tuesday night, this is where I'm going to be parked, they get into a routine. So that's the hardest part between a food truck and a brick and mortar, is having people easily find you.
Understandable, for sure. That's definitely an interesting challenge that I bet all food truck operators have to work with. So I want to switch now to a couple of the questions that we received from the classrooms. One question for Chelsea is about how much beef does your company package or sell a year? Do you know that off the top of your head?
No, because since we have retail and wholesale, and that is more pounds than I think I could ever calculate in my head. We are, if you think about it, we service, so we're in Rochester, so we deliver in Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse. We actually go down to a couple places in New York City and the casinos down in Borgata, New Jersey. So I would have to run a numbers. We do hundreds of thousands of pounds of just center of the plate cut beef between the retail and wholesale. Like 200,000 could be a quarter. We do, I would say, close to 1 million throughout the year between wholesale and resale. And that's such an easy number to hit. Because again, you think about everything from little tiny mom and pop pizza places that need, you know, little meatballs put on their pizza, and we're cutting different things for the retail store for the holidays, all of your rib roasts and your center of the cut steaks for Father's Day. So, and then all the restaurants that are white tablecloth that are serving steak. It's a lot. One of our biggest things for Palmer's is we're known for center of the plate, which is the center of your plate. So we're not known for, oh, you get your green beans here. We're not a farm. We purchase things from farmers, but we have a meat production facility that's state of the art. And so one of the biggest things that we sell is steak. I put it on the side of our truck too. One of the ways of marketing is every time you see a Palmer's truck, you're always going to see seafood on one side and then beef on the other side.
Nice. Awesome. So we are wrapping up our time together today, but I wanted to ask one last final question to each of you. What is your favorite beef cut or beef dish? Allie, you want to go first?
I'll go first. So in my experience, when we had the meat shop and the smokehouse, man, we used to eat a lot of red meat. Not that we don't now, because we still do, but I love a good Delmonico steak. You just can't beat a good steak.
This is kind of hard because I have a chef at my disposal every day, but I would say anything that's been dry aged. I didn't quite understand what dry age was until I saw the dry age room and how it breaks down and how they take out the outside and it's worked its way through and it's tender. So I would say literally anything that's been dry aged. Oh, and a new thing that we tried doing is wrapping up a huge subprimal in butter. So it's not dry aged, it's buttered aged, and you use the butter that's been breaking down the meat with inside when you're cooking. Oh, it's amazing.
That sounds delicious. For those of you who might not be familiar with the dry age process that Chelsea's referring to, so the majority of the meat that you're going to get, if you buy it at the grocery store or bring it into your classroom, a lot of that beef is going to be what we call wet age. So when you take that package off, there might be a little bit of liquid in the bottom of the package, and that's actually the way that that piece of beef is being aged or tenderized. So that might seem like blood, but it's really not. The majority of that muscle, just like any mammal or any piece of beef, is going to be mostly water. So that's a little bit of that water and hemoglobin coming out of the whatever cut that you're working with. But with that being surrounded by that plastic, it actually helps tenderize the meat and helps that meat kind of relax. So that's the most popular way of aging beef. But the other option is dry age that Chelsea was referring to. So dry age is going to be under very particular environment. They are going to have the airflow, the temperature, everything is highly controlled, but that beef's going to sit or hang for a longer extended period of time. And that's a different way for those muscles to relax and tenderize. And that's what makes beef have that great mouthfeel and be so delicious, is that tender part of it that ties into it. So I want to thank you both so much. Are there any last minute thoughts or advice that you would give to these classes and students as they work through developing these plans?
I'll just say have fun with it. Coming from a food truck, I mean, it's a lot of trial and error, but it's always fun making something and serving it to your customers and just getting the feedback from them. It's a lot of fun. So I'm really happy you guys are doing this project. I'm wishing you all the best.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would say that's probably the best advice, is to have fun. And just know, and this is true for anyone, even though I've been doing this for 13 years, I'm still trying to figure things out. So when you're doing things, you could come up with an idea that would be amazing for me to use right now. Just because you're starting something and you're thinking, oh, I don't know about this, you're going to do that for the rest of your life. Every project's going to be new. Every project's going to be different. Take chances and don't do things that everyone else does. Try something different. Don't, Google something and say, oh, we have to do this, or, oh, I've seen this do it. Don't compare yourself to other people. Put blinders on. Don't look at other projects. Have fun with it and just follow what you feel is the right thing to do.
Awesome. I think that those are both great pieces of advice. We want to thank both of you again for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us. And classrooms, as you work through your projects and start working on developing your submission, feel free to reach out to New York Beef Council, the Ag in the Classroom staff, and we can get you in touch with Allie or Chelsea if you have specific questions for them. I'm sure they would be happy to follow up and answer some of those questions. So thank you, ladies, both so much. We really appreciate your time, and we can't thank you enough for all your support of beef.
I'm excited for all of y'all.